Back from the break with Dr. Tom Butler. I'm Todd Scarborough. We're talking today on Understanding Your Health about some very basic, general, overall concepts and the kind of the big picture, Tom, to some degree.
Yes.
The simplified big picture. We certainly don't have time in a 30-minute show to talk about the all of the elaborate details, but really, in reality, it's the Americans are making mistakes on these very basic fundamentals.
Right.
And what we talked about at the first of the show, Tom, why are they making these mistakes? It's pretty simple. Because we have been taught as a society, Tom, to see things as trying to find this, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, the magic pill, like you said, or that you've been living your life for 10 years and you gain weight, and people want to lose it and in 10 minutes with this magic diet pill that they see on late night TV. Well, it's non-existent. In fact, you're causing more harm when you isolate things down and think that it's this. Because what happens is you're looking at that one thing to help you overcome all of these problems, and in reality, it takes you further away from the truth, further down the road to ill health. And when you come back around and you see the big picture and you're understanding it's a multifaceted, basic, general concept, then that's when you really start on the road to health. So, Tom, when we talk about the overall concept, and I know with you and I, we parallel probably on everything. I haven't even looked at your notes, but I can almost guarantee you I know every single thing that's on there with this big picture. The first thing I bet you have there is diet.
Correct.
That's the first thing. Diet, when most people think of diet, Tom, they think of weight loss. We're talking about diet here not only for weight loss, but more so for nourishment, rhythms of the body, getting the body in a rhythm as far as the eating, nourishing the body more than we're talking true weight loss, even though the bulk of Americans out there could certainly use some weight loss. However, certainly what we're looking at here when you talk diet, we're talking nourishment of the body, right?
Yeah. Well, this would be what I consider diet. It's if you're thin and you eat that, you gain to your normal weight. If you're, fat and you eat that, you're going to go to your normal weight. If you're obese and you eat this, you go to your normal weight. So so you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. And if you do what you're supposed to do, you don't have to change at the end of 30, 60, 90, 120, whatever those days are. Because the thing that got you, the horse you rode in with is the one you stay with. So, and guess what? What's so nice, Todd, when we help people with these avenues, we don't have to come back in 6 months and say, "Oh, we're just kidding."
We know now that's not true.
We know that's terrible because a lot of it is somewhat common sense. But like we said before the break, nobody's really helping you all. I mean, the advertisements are for things that taste good. You guys are averaging 3 pops a day now. More than water and any other drink. And you're eating out twice a day, and that's about the only food you eat now. So, but anyway, and 70% of you don't even eat 5 helpings of fruits or vegetables anymore. So, some of these principles need to change, and we don't want to just. I can tell you certain nutrients you can take, and you will lose weight. You will lose fat. You will gain muscle density. But the thing is, don't do a short-sighted program to expect this picture we're talking about.
Yes.
So what we're talking about is health, not just weight loss. Pardon me, this one doctor, he is a little obnoxious, but he told me the best way to lose 20 pounds of ugly fat is cut my head off. So anyway.
Certainly cures the problem of weight loss from then on out. I mean,
but I knew his idea.
Right.
He was saying, the fastest way is really not the best ever.
And you're right. And when I talk weight loss, it's more about ratios, frequency, and size of the meal. The biggest mistake, Tom, is the size of the meal the Americans eat.
Sure.
Second, it's frequency. It's frequency. We don't eat often enough. We should be eating small, double handful size, about 3 or 4 times a day, just enough to give us to run on, and not enough to store. And what we're doing. Proteins, it's not necessarily the fats and the proteins in our diet that's getting us trouble. It's the carbohydrates. It's the excessive simple sugar. So when we talk diet, folks, we're talking a twofold approach. Cut out first and foremost those simple sugars and useless empty carbohydrates and fuels. I think it would be almost impossible, Tom, for anybody to be obese eating good, wholesome food. I don't think you could have enough taste for it to really eat enough of it. I think what gets people fat in this country is the fact that after they get through eating, they can eat a piece of pie or drink 2 or 3 pops or whatever it may be. So when we talk diet, folks, this is the first one here on the list. Diet meaning not only the right size and the right frequency and those type of things, the meals, but quality of your food. It's got to go back to the quality side of things. It's nutrient density of your food. The more it's processed, the more commercially grown that it is. And of all things, organic foods at a health food store, yes, they're more expensive. However, what they are going to do for you, I really feel like that it's a pay me now or pay me later thing. And, you know, I had a bumper sticker that one time said health food is not just for weirdos anymore, you know, and it's not. It's for people literally, if you want to stay healthy and avoid these health problems, first and foremost, it goes back to diet. So when we look at full circle, Tom, we're looking at an overall component, not just a pill from, you know, some berry juice from India. Right. We're looking at diet number 1, nourishing the body. Exercise number 2.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And exercise with me, folks, and here I am, you know, this big meathead that loves to go in the gym and scream and holler. That's just what I like to do. In fact, sometimes it's not even that healthy for me with some of the things that I do in with competing and dieting down and that sort of thing. Exercise is simply this, is being consistent, Tom, is just moving the body on a regular basis, finding something that you like to do, even if it's walking. The body gets a certain amount, in my opinion, a certain amount of energy every day. If you don't use it, it's like steam in a pressure cooker with the lid on it. It finally is going to blow somewhere. If it's not going to blow verbally at somebody, and stress-wise, it's going to blow a gasket somewhere along the line with physiologically, for that matter.
Well, it's a controlled strain.
Mm-hmm.
Controlled strain.
Yes.
And in so doing, your body builds back during the rest phase. So
gets better.
During that, he's not a meathead. So there's balance. There's flexibility that he works on.
Yes.
He uses endurance factors and cardio,
yes.
and he does his certain rest periods and non-rest and all of that. So there's balance, all of that. So you know, any exercise that would incorporate all of those is going to be wonderful. And he's right. You don't necessarily have to go to a gym, but I'm not going to badmouth the gyms. It's a great thing. We're taking people and we're sitting them still too much. So, gosh, we better try to have a facility that goes into each and every muscle group, because, you know, like if you pick peas all day, you look like a pea picker. You're going to be all bent over. You're going to build the muscles that just work with that. If you go to a facility and you do the synergistic and the ones, the antagonistics. So in other words, you flex and extend. You don't end up being the muscle guy.
Yes.
And he's not. He's very flexible.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
you can do it. And
yes.
if you swim for 20 years, you wind up looking like a dolphin, like Michael Phelps does. I mean, you know, you look at his physique; it's not very pretty. I mean, he's definitely in great shape.
He's in great shape.
Certainly has evolved to his given sport. You look at distance runners, sprinters. Everybody tends to evolve. If you sit on the couch with a remote and eat Cheetos, you're going to evolve in that direction too. So ultimately, it is about moving the body about 20 to 30 minutes a day. Tom's what most people say. About 3 to 4 times a week. Do the math on that, folks. I mean, if you need a calculator, I'll give you a time here. 20 minutes, 4 times a week. 20 minutes,
Easy.
4 times a week. That's a little over an hour.
That's the minimum.
And that's a little over an hour a week is all that I'm asking for here, is some type of movement. And you spend more time probably in the bathroom a week than that, I would say.
Watching commercials.
Watching commercials, exactly right. In fact, in between commercials, like we were talking on one of the shows earlier, is that if you're sitting and staring at a screen for 20 minutes, get up, stretch, move around, focus on
Do
something
your exercises.
else. And then in turn, a commercial break on a television show is a good time to stretch or get off the couch or do a little something. I thought the best idea at one time when I had kids is I was going to put the television set on a generator and use a bicycle. And the only way they could ever watch it is just to do the bicycle while they're watching TV. You're talking about limiting kids' television time. There we go. And video games the same way. It'd be kind of hard to probably play video games where you're doing a bicycle. But there's certainly the ideas of trying to counter some of
Yeah.
these lifestyle changes that Americans have
that we're
encountered
going
here.
through.
And so ultimately, diet and exercise, Tom, there's part of the wheel. But before we take a break, what are the other supplementation? Supplements?
Just go
obviously?
with diet, exercise, rest, proper nutrition for sure, and that's major now because, like we had talked earlier in the break. In the old days, you could just eat 3 meals a day and you're going to be fine. But now we have all the genetically modified foods, and some of those haven't been tested that extremely well on children, or who knows what's going to happen in the long run.
We're all
Because even
guinea
if they
pigs.
test
We're all
something
guinea pigs.
for a short period of time, we don't know what's going to happen in the long term.
Sure.
And it may be beneficial one way, but we may, it's not nice to fool Mother Nature all the time. So we're going to have to start relying on more and more nutrition. So one of the things I'm adding onto my circle is go to the organic health food store, and maybe if you have certain areas that you're genetically weakened to, then talk to them about products that you can take that will circumvent that, so that you don't illustrate that genetic weakness of sugar problems or the gout or the obesity or heart disease or
to
cancer.
buffer that, and that's
Yes.
basically what supplements are, in my opinion, is to
Right.
kind of buffer that side of things, is the mistakes that we make and the deficiencies that we have in our diet. No matter how good you eat, you're going to ultimately have some deficiency somewhere. And orthomolecular medicine with Linus Pauling made us understand that some body types and styles need more of certain
That's right.
nutrients. So the reason why we're having strokes is because those particular people, your mother died of stroke, you died of stroke. Well, because you're nutritionally needing more of certain nutrients.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We talked about that before, but we'll talk about more of that when we come back from the break. It's time to take one, and we'll be back to wrap the show up on what the overall ideal best picture is for health, and not just these linear approaches when we return on Understanding Your Health. Hang on, folks.